I'm about to read to you 101 Dalmatians. Because the story is mostly about a great many dogs, there is something we have to explain before we go any further. Not many people know about this, but a lot of different animals can talk to each other. Dogs are very good at it, and so are all cats and horses, some birds too. Of course, when humans hear them, it just sounds like a lot of barking or whining or yelping or meowing or even mewing or even whining or even honking like a goose. But this spending on how they make their noises, they can say all sorts of things. In our story, a lot of dogs do a lot of talking. Some other animals do too, so when they do, we'll just tell what they're saying instead of writing down a lot of arf arf and woof woof. There's one other thing you should know before we begin our story. Some dogs think the humans they live with are their pets instead of the other way around. This was true of two beautiful Dalmatians named Pongo and Perita. This is a story about them and some of their friends and enemies too, animals and humans. My name is Pongo. I am a good-sized Dalmatian, white with black spots all over me. I live in London, England with a young man named Roger Ratcliffe. He's a musician but not very successful yet. Roger didn't know it, but I was getting very tired of not having any kind of girlfriend. You see, Roger is a pet of mine, and I have to watch out for him and try and keep him happy. One thing I decided to do was find a nice girl and get her acquainted with Roger if at the same time there was a lady Dalmatian for me, so much the better. On this particular beautiful spring day, I made my first move because we dogs can understand what humans are saying, but humans can't understand us. I have to do what I always do when I want to take Roger for a walk. He thinks he's taking me, of course, but first I looked out at the window to find out if anyone was passing by who would suit my purpose. At the street level, I saw a woman walking with a African hound, which is kind of strange breed. I'm not fond of. I forget them. Not far behind was a girl who was much too fat, walking a bulldog almost as fat as she was. I forgot them too. In a few minutes long came a French woman walking a French poodle. The woman was alright, I suppose, but the poodle was a little too fancy suit for me. I forget them. Also next, a little girl went by with a small puppy, too young for both of us, too more to forget. And then it happened. The first thing I saw was an absolutely beautiful Dalmatian, and right behind her, an absolutely beautiful young woman, and they were together, perfect. A spring came into action. Grabbed the leash. I let Roger snap on my collar when I let him think taking me for a walk. I dashed into the room where he was making noises on the terrible instrument he plays. Humans call it piano, we dogs call it awful. I stood in front of him with the leash and barked fiercely 5 or 6 times. Finally, he got an idea, snapped on the leash, and said, "All right, Pongo, all right, boy." Then I pulled on the leash, moving him quickly to the front door and then outside. I was pretty sure the young woman and her Dalmatian were headed for the park, just one short block away. As soon as I had pulled Roger into the park, I looked quickly around, but I didn't see them. I started off through the park in a big hurry with Roger staggering along behind, yelling, "Hey, Pongo, slow down, slow down." Boy, of course I wasn't about to slow down. He went past the fat girl and her bulldog, the French woman and her French poodle, and the little girl and her puppy, but no beautiful young woman and her beautiful Dalmatian. As we went past, the bulldog wheezed at me. "What's your hurry, Spot? You'll get all overheated and out of breath." The French poodle and the female spoke with a French accent. "Your spots are very charming, my friend. Would you like to talk with me about them?" The puppy just yapped a few times and went back to rolling in the grass and scratching himself. I was getting worried. By this time, I was afraid we missed them or they had left the park, but suddenly the young woman was sitting on a park bench reading with Dalmatian on the ground near her. I said to myself, Pongo, everything will be just perfect if you plan it right. But it's all up to you, Roger. Won't be any help at all, except for this music. He has no more imagination than a plate of cold mashed potatoes. The trouble is, he doesn't realize he's very good looking young man at that woman will like him if he just gives them a chance. Sure enough, Roger went right by the young woman with so much as a glance, but the Dalmatian noticed me. Alright, I was as we went past, but then Roger went to a grassy place, let go of my leash, and lay down on his back, gazing at the sky. So what's dog to do? I jumped on his stomach and to get his attention, grabbed his hat in my teeth and growling and barking dashed to the bench upon which the young woman was sitting. Behind me, Roger started to yell, Pongo, you really bring it back, boy. I saw the young woman look at Roger a couple of times, but then she went back to her book. I had the idea she was more interested and she looked. The Dalmatian was cute. I saw her struggling to keep from laughing out loud. Then, just to keep things stirred up, I put Roger's hat alongside the woman on the bench, turned Roger and began barking. I saw the woman look at the hat at me, at Roger, and I saw Roger look at her, so that at least they had seen each other. But then she decided to leave the park, taking the Dalmatian with her. I had to do something in a hurry. Roger came to the bench and grabbed my leash and his hat. Immediately, I began to tug furiously, pulling him along behind me. I caught up with the woman and managed to tangle her and Roger in a leash. Roger shouted, "Come on, you old villain! We're going home." But the leash was getting the better of both of them. Roger was starting to apologize, exclaiming, "Oh dear, I'm so sorry. I don't know what's come over old Pongo." "What on earth is going on here?" shrieked the young woman, as both she and Roger lost their balance and began to fall into the small pond just behind. Then a lot of things happened all at once. Dalmatian grabbed for her mistress' skirt to try to keep her from falling. The skirt couldn't take the strain and ripped, and the next thing we knew, Roger and the young woman were sitting in the ponds, spitting out water, sputtering and shaking themselves. Roger helped her out of the water. "Oh, oh, oh," she cried. "My new spring suit. First it got ripped, then it got soaked, and my new hat." "Please let me help you," Roger exclaimed. "Here comes Pongo. He's fished your hat out of the water." He took the hat out of my mouth and handed it to her. Then he tried to tell her sorry but he was so excited and confused that what he was saying didn't make much sense. It sounded like, oh, sorry, there, he's not really, oh, can I do, you think, and a lot more silly sounding stuff. The young woman said, "Please just go away, you've done enough." Then she took a very wet handkerchief from her purse. "Oh, please," Roger said. "Take mine." He pulled the handkerchief from his pocket and offered it to her. The only trouble was the handkerchief was just as wet as hers. Dalmatian said very quickly, "Oh no, what your name is? I heard him call you." "My name is Prita, and my soaking wet pet there is Anita." "What's your pet's name?" Roger answered, and I think they made a nice couple. If she'd only stop being mad at him. "She's not really mad," Prita said. "I know her, and I could tell she thinks he's very nice, so do I." Just then, Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Roger and Anita look at each other and at the white handkerchief. Then Anita began to laugh and Roger began to laugh. While he was wringing the water of both handkerchiefs, I looked at Prita. She was smiling at me. I smiled back and then she winked a big wink at me. She knew what I was up to and was happy about it. We both looked at Roger and Anita as they went scrolling off, wet as could be, but laughing happily together. Prita knew it all right and knew what was going to happen. 2 months later, Roger and Anita were married, and we all went to live in a small house near the park. And that's when the story really begins. Roger and Anita was happy as could be in their new home. As for Prieta and me, were even happier because Prieta was due to present us with some beautiful Dalmatian puppies in a few weeks. Everything was just about perfect except for one person. Her name was Cruella Deville, and she really lived up to her last name. One day in September, Frida and I were resting on a windowsill, enjoying the fine late summer weather. Roger was upstairs banging on his piano. He calls it composing. I suppose it is, but it still hurts my ears. Anita, who was writing some letters, called to him to stop. It was time for tea. Roger, as usual, didn't hear her, so I began barking. Finally, Nita, I gave up, but Nanny Cook, who worked in the house as a cook and housekeeper, took a broom handle and thumped it on the ceiling. A few moments later, Roger came downstairs singing. What was I suppose was singing very well, and when the words sounded, but at least it doesn't hurt my ears the way that piano does. Do you like my new song? He asked Nita. Any I haven't heard any of the words, she replied, but I think it sounds very nice. Music comes first, said Roger, then we'll worry about the words, and just then we heard a car horn. Priya looked at me. I looked back. Oh, Pongo, she exclaimed. It's that Deval woman. I know that horn. Roger said, well, Anita dear, must be your dearly beloved old school chum, Cruella Deval. You have to excuse me because old school chum or not, I can't stand the sight of her, and I know how loyal you are about people you've known for a long time, but she is the absolute worst. So if you need me, I'll be upstairs with my piano. Maybe I can write some really unpleasant words about her to fit my music. And with that, he headed for the stairs. I heard just one line of song as he went, Cruella Deville, Cruella Deville. Just to see her will give you a terrible chill. A few seconds later, the piano started up again just as doorbell rang. Nanny called Nita. Let her in, please. When Nanny opened the door, Cruella swept into the house like a tornado. She had a cigarette burning in a long holder and blew smoke everyone and everything. Anita, my dear, she began. How are you, Cruella? Anita asked. Perfectly miserable as usual, Cruella replied. But where are they? She looked all around the room, under tables, behind chairs, trailing smoke from her cigarette as she searched. Not finding what she was looking for, she turned to Anita and said, come now, Anita, hiding them is just silly. Where are they? Where who? Cruella, Anita replied. I don't understand. Oh, stop it, Anita, Cruella snapped. Don't play stupid with me. For heaven's sake, where are those puppies? At this point, Roger stopped playing the piano, picked up another instrument, this time a trumpet, and let loose a few loud blasts, which caused Cruella to look even more annoyed than usual. Come now, Anita, she went on. Stop playing games. We're little beasts. The puppies replied, Anita, you're hurrying things a bit, Cruella. It'll be another 3 weeks or so before they're due to be born. I see, Cruella said. Then she turned to me, snapped her fingers, and said, "Here, come here, dog." She stretched out her hand at me. I had to hold myself in check to keep from biting the hand. Instead, I backed away into a corner. "Dog," she yelled, "come here, you." Backed up still more. Anita came to rescue Cruella. She said, "Isn't that a new fur coat you're wearing?" "It is indeed," Cruella replied, par- parading the coat for Anita. "You know me, Anita. Practically the only things in the world I love are furs. I love them. I worship them. Doesn't everyone, woman?" "Oh," answered Anita, "I like a nice fur, but there are so many other things." "Oh, yes," Corella almost plurred. "Poor, simple Anita. This rather nasty little house is your dream home, and Roger is your bold and fearless knight in armor. And then, of course, you have your little spot of friends. Yes, they do have such perfectly beautiful coats." Anita, still trying to be polite, said, "Would you like a cup of tea, Corella?" Corella blew smoke at Anita, then flicked ashes into the teacup Anita held out. "No," she replied, "I must go, dear Anita, but you must not forget to let me know the very instant the puppies are born. The very instant you do here, you won't you?" Anita frowned but said, "I will let you know, Cruella." Then ta-ta, bye-bye, Cruella said as she headed for the door. "I'll see you in 3 weeks, ta-ta." She slammed the door and was gone. I snorted once and twice to get the smoke out of my nose, then headed for the kitchen. I discovered Priya coming out under the stove where she had crawled to keep away from Cruella. "Priya," I began, but that was far as I got. "Oh, Pongo," she said, "that witch, that devil woman, she wants our puppies. They're what she's after." "Don't worry," I said. "Nothing's going to happen to the puppies. Roger and Anita will fix her." "But what does she want with them, Prita?" "Well, you know she can't possibly love them. The only thing she loves is fur coats. And I'll tell you something else. I was so happy at all first, but now I almost wish we weren't having any puppies." One wild stormy night in October, it happened right in schedule with thunder, lightning, and rain outside. I was in the kitchen with Roger waiting for the puppies to arrive. Roger was busily puffing on his pipe. I was pacing up and down, and when I heard Nanny's voice from the back room, "The puppies are here, they're here," she shouted. Roger was excited. He dropped his pipe. How many?" he called. Nanny poked her head around the door. "8," she exclaimed. Repeated Roger. Then he grabbed me by the front paws and began to dance around the kitchen with me. "By George," he shouted, "8 puppies." Nanny opened the kitchen door again. "Make that 10," she said. Before either Roger or I could say anything, we heard Nita's voice from the back room. "11," she cried. And then Nanny appeared at the door once more. "Not so fast," she said. "Make that 13." She went in the back room only to reappear in the moment. "No," she yelled. "I was wrong. It's 14. Uh-oh. Finally count 15. And Prita's just fine. Thank you very much." I was so pleased and proud. I could only sort of stand around and look foolish. 15 puppies," said Roger Pongo. "Oh boy, that's the marvelous. Fabulous." He grabbed me and gave me a big hug. "Pongo, you old rascal. You are a 15-time father. How about that?" Anita appeared in the kitchen. "Can you imagine, Roger? 15 puppies?" And then there was a brilliant flash of lightning and an enormous roll of thunder, and Corella appeared at the kitchen door. 15 puppies, how marvelous!" she cried. Then she looked closely at one of the puppies Nanny had brought in to show us. "What kind of shame is this? What are you trying to do? Make a fool of me? That puppy's no Dalmatian. He's a cur, a mongrel. He has no spots. He looks like a horrible little white rat. Ugh." Ugh. At this point, Nanny made a remark that turned out to be a mistake. She grunted, shows how much you know Dalmatian puppies are born pure white. They get their spots a few weeks after birth. That's right, Cruella and Anita agreed. Oh, very well, said Cruella. In that case, I'll take them all, the whole litter. She pulled out the checkbook and prepared to write. I'd just name your price. Anita looked at Cruella, sighed, and said, I'm afraid we can't give you them up, Cruella. We couldn't do that to Prita. She'd be heartbroken. Don't be ridiculous, said Cruella angrily. You can't afford to keep them. You can barely afford to feed yourselves. I'm sure we'll get along, Anita replied. Ah, exclaimed Cruella, your precious Roger and his silly songs is Is that it? Then she threw back her head and laughed, the most unpleasant laugh I have ever heard. Then she stopped laughing in a hurry and said, That's enough of your nonsense, Anita. I'll pay you twice what the puppies are worth. When can they be ready to leave their mother? 2 more weeks? 3? All the while she was writing her checkbook, Roger had finally reached the limit of his patience. Never, he exploded. Never, do you hear me? We're selling no puppies. Not one single one. Do you understand? Cruella looked at Nina and said, Is he serious? Surely he must be joking. You're not getting one. I meant not one, not now or never, and that's final. Roger was getting madder by the minute. Cruella removed the check from her checkbook, tore it into small pieces, and threw the pieces in Roger's face. You're a horrible person, she screeched. Oh, very well. Keep the little beasts. Do whatever you want with them. Drown them for all I care. Turning to Nita, she smiled. I warn you, Nita. We're through, but I'll get even. You wait and see. You'll be sorry, you fools, even one of you. She ran to the front door and slammed it behind her, breaking her glass. As she did so, I ran to the door and let her know exactly how I felt about her, even through it, even through though I knew she thought it was just barking. Then I went to Priya in the back room. Priya, I said lovingly, wonderful news. We're keeping the puppies, even every single one of them. She looked at me and smiled. That is wonderful news. How did it happen, my old pet Roger? I replied. He told she doubled off. She won't be back. She's gone for good. How wrong I was, Krill. Deville did come back into our lives and very nearly did get even. One early evening, several months later, Prita and I were taking Roger and Anita for a walk. We had no way of knowing what was going to happen as we headed into the park. We got a whole story from Nanny Cook when we returned. As soon as we were out of sight of the house, 2 men came to the front door. Nanny had just finished putting the last of our puppies to bed when the doorbell rang. She answered the door, being careful to open it. No more than a crack. 2 rough-looking men were standing on the doorstep. We're here to inspect the wine, said the first man. Yes, man, indeed we are, the second man said. We're from the gas company. We are. Don't mind him, man, the first man said. Or here's a little stupid. It's the electric company we're from, and by the way, my name's Jasper. We'll only be a minute or two. There's some mistake, Nanny said. We didn't ask for any inspection. Then she tried to shut the door, but Jasper just got his foot in the way. Well, man, Jasper went on, there's no way you could know about this, but there's a new law been passed. There has to be a citywide inspection. It's going on all over town right now. I don't care what law's been passed. You're not coming in this house. While Mr. and Mrs. Ratcliffe are out. Now take your foot out of there. You can't come. You can come back tomorrow. Nanny tried to close the door, but instead Jasper and Horace pushed so hard Nanny was shoved aside as they opened it wide and walked in. "Who do you think you are?" she screamed. "Get out of this house this minute or I'll call the police." "My goodness," Jasper said. "She's a regular Spitfire, isn't she?" Horace. Then he started up the steps to the second floor. Nanny screamed at him again, but he paid no attention to her, and by the time Horace had hold of her, Jasper made a quick inspection for the second floor. Not finding what he was looking for, he came down again, started to look around. Nanny managed to squirm loose from Horace, picked up a teapot and threw it at Jasper. It sailed It sailed by his head and crashed into a wall. Horace called Jasper. "I've got a feeling we're not really welcome here. This lady doesn't seem to be at all happy to see us." In spite of her struggling, however, Horace soon had her again. Jasper then said, "Horace, turn her over to me while you scout around in the kitchen and back rooms. I'll hold this little lady." Horace went off his scouting trip. Nanny struggled so hard Jasper finally shoved her into a closet and closed the door. In a few minutes, Horace came to the front rooms carrying a large bag that seemed to be quite heavy. "Right," said Jasper when he saw the bag. "That's it. We're leaving." He stood at the closet door and in a voice loud enough for Nanny to hear, said, "We're leaving now. Thanks for the entertainment. Bye. Bye-bye. Next time we come, maybe you'll bake us a cake." When we come back from our when we came back from our walk in the park, we all heard Nanny shouting for help inside the closet. Roger let her out and she told us what happened. "Oh my gosh," Roger exclaimed. I'll bet they took the good silver." He ran to look, but was back immediately with a puzzled look on his face. "Silver is not touched," he said. "What do you suppose they wanted?" While this was going on, Preeta trotted to the back of the house, through the kitchen to the back room, and then I heard it, the saddest howl I've ever heard. Roger, Anita, Nanny, and I rushed to the parade, and one look was enough. "The puppies!" screamed Anita. "Puppies are gone." "But why?" Nanny moaned. "Why would anyone steal 15 puppies? Who wants 15 Dalmatian puppies?" Roger looked at Anita and said very slowly, "I think I know." "How about Anita?" "I imagine you could think of someone who might want them very badly for a reason I'm afraid even to guess at." "Oh no," Roger replied. "Nina, I don't think it's Cruella. Could it be that bad?" "Well, you two spend your time arguing. I'm calling the police." Nanny said she went to the telephone and made the call. For the rest of the evening, the house was full of the policemen coming and going, trying to find fingerprints, taking measurements, taking descriptions of the two men and the puppies. The police didn't even seem very much interested in Roger shouting about Cruella. She didn't or had it done. He said, "Oh," over and over, "but you have no proof of any kind." The police kept saying, "And without proof, we can't do anything." The next day, the story was in all the papers. One paper even had a headline which simply said "dog napping." During the morning, Nita had a call from Corella, who kept telling Nita how sorry she was to hear the news about those dear, delightful puppies. Roger overheard Nita and then end of the conversation and quickly figured out that is what Corella's calling. "What does she want?" he yelled. "Is she calling to confess?" Roger stopped, cried Anita, covering the telephone so Corella couldn't hear her. "Ask her where she's hidden them," Roger thundered. Corella and Anita said We're doing everything we can. I have to say goodbye now as soon. She hung up. She said to Roger, Roger, I know she's a little particular, but she's not a thief. She's still the number one suspect as far as I'm concerned. Roger replied, I had heard just about all of this I had could stand. I went to the back room where Prada was curled in a corner looking sadly at the empty puppies basket. What are you going to do? Prada said. No one seems to have any idea at all. The police have no information worth anything, and the longer it goes on, the less chance we have of getting back our puppies. There's only one way left, I told her. We'll have to find them ourselves. What can we do? Prada asked. What can we do? We're not policemen. No, I said, but we're something else. We're dogs, and every dog in London will help us. But Pongo, she asked, how will they find out? I know it's all the papers, but how many dogs can read? And if they can, how many will get to see the papers? I'm afraid there's no hope. Prita, I said, there's a way that's faster and better than papers. Have you forgotten the Twilight Bark? I haven't forgotten it, dear Prita said, but it's just a gossip network. That's all it is. Something's to spread unimportant information about. Oh, I see what you mean. You bet. I said it's the very quickest way to spin news about anything. And if our puppies are anywhere in the city or surrounding countries, the dogs of London will know. What are you waiting for? Prita said. Let's get Roger and Nita for our evening walk. It's twilight time right now. 3 minutes later, we had convinced our two pets that they should take us for a walk. Once in the park, Roger and Nita took off our leashes, and Prita and I dashed for the big hill in the middle of the park. Right away, I began barking a message. I stopped and we both listened. After a few minutes, Prita said, oh dear, I'm afraid there's no one out to listen tonight. I imagine it's too cold. We've got to keep trying, Purdy, I said, and began barking again. But when I stopped, there was still no answer. Once more I said, and barked the message. Suddenly, in the distance, we both heard it. Darling, we're in luck, I said to Purdy. It's that great din way over in Hampstead. I began to bark again, this time as loud as I could. I was just about finished when Roger grabbed me by the collar, snapped on the leash, and pulled so hard my bark was cut off. Pongo, quiet boy, you won't want to stir up the whole neighborhood. Roger sounded as though he was getting angry with me. Come on, boy. I tried barking again, but the pull on my collar was so hard. All that came out was a sort of hoarse croak. Roger pulled me to get me down from the hill, with me trying to get back up. For a few seconds, my collar held loose, and I let loose of a series of thunder sparks. Pongo, Roger yelled, have you gone crazy? We're going home. Now stop this silly business and come along. The pull on my collar was tighter and harder than ever. I was forced to quit trying to bark and went along with Roger. Nina and Prita, as we neared the horse, Prita whispered to me, did you get the message, Drew? I think so, but I'm not really sure, I said. We'll just have to wait and see. Because I didn't find out about most of what happened in the next day or so until later, I tell it from what I heard from ones who did see and hear just about everything. The Great Dane got the message all right. While he was listening, he was joined by his friend, a terror. What is it? Danny asked the terror. Hush, replied the Great Dane. Let me listen. After a few moments, he said to the terror, here it is. It's Pongo over in Regent's Park. A full dog alert. What's wrong? What's going on? Tell me, Danny. Yep, the terror. It's serious, said Danny. 15 almost brand new Dalmatian puppies had been stolen. The puppies belonged to Pongo and his mate, Parita. Had they called the police? Asked the terrorist. Scouted yard. The humans answered Danny. Have done all they can. Now it's up to us dogs. The Twilight barked. Well then, what are we waiting for? Cried the terror. He and the dame ran to the very edge of the property on which they lived and began barking. Me first, the terror continued. I'll sound the alert. A few moments later, the huge Great Dane began his deep, thunderous barking, getting out the message. A Scotty was next to pick up the alert and the message. He barked alert. The Afghan hound we met earlier, his mistress, an artist, was painting a picture of him when the hound dashed out of the room, went to the window, and began to bark wildly. The artist tried to drag him back, but the tore away, knocked over the painting, got to the window, and continued barking until his mistress finally got him under control. After that, it seemed every dog in London actively joined in the twilight bark. Soon as all of them knew what happened, but not one had anything to report about where the puppies were. By that time, however, the twilight bark had begun to be heard outside of London in the surrounding countries. Also, by that time, other animals were getting involved. Lucy, a goose on a farm, heard it, alerted her friend Towser, the farm dog. What's going on, Towser? She asked. I heard it, but I'm not sure I understand it. What's all gossip, Tessin? Gossip, Lucy, Towser replied. Comes all the way from London. It does, and he told Lucy the news. No puppies around here, Lucy said. Not since the collie had her last litter, and they're all grown up. I know it, Towser said. Best thing I can do is send the word along. I'll try to reach the colonel. He'd probably know what to do. Lucy quacked. I doubt you reach him at this hour. He goes to bed right early. Got to try anyhow, Tarzan said and began to bark. He stopped for a second or two and then said, I'll bark night if I have to. Then he continued his barking some distance away. A barn and other farms sheltered a cat, a horse, and a sheepdog. Somehow or other, the three of them had decided that they were a military unit. The sheepdog, who was quite old and somewhat hard of hearing, was a colonel. The horse was captain, and the cat was the lower sergeant. Tibbs, by far the smartest of the three. The horse heard it first. He listened, then said, Sergeant Tibbs, sounds like old Towser. It's an alert. He's Sergeant. Getting no reply from the sleeping cat, he whined. The cat woke up, said, what? And then seeing the horse came to attention, said, yes, sir, Captain. What's up? Barking signal, twilight bark. It's an alert, the captain said. Get the colonel at once. The cat woke the sheepdogs. Sergeant Tibbs reporting, sir. He said, Tibbs, what's the idea of waking me in the middle of the night? The colonel roared. I was sound asleep, the colonel. I was. The cat got no further before the colonel interrupted him. Quiet, said the colonel. I hear something. He listened and then said, can't you hear that? You must be getting deaf. It sounds like an alert. Yes, Colonel, replied Sergeant Tibbs. Shouldn't we? The colonel interrupted again. Stop babbling, he ordered. We have to look into this at once. Yes, sir, replied Sergeant Tibbs. I I was just going to. Both of them hurried to where the horse was listening. Its Towser, sir, Captain said, over the Wither Marsh. The colonel listened once more and said, I believe you're right, Captain. Very well, let's see what old Towser has on his mind. He barked in his reply and listened once more. He said, it's all the way from London. Must be important. Here comes. Here comes the message. After listening again, he went on, I got the message, but what Dickens does 13 spotted poles stolen mean? Sir, Sergeant Tibbs said, I think that's what was 15 spotted puppies stolen. In that case, it's serious, the colonel said, but who knows where our colonel, sir, replied Sergeant Tibbs. I believe I heard something that sounded like puppies barking and yapping last night, but where? I asked the colonel. It sounds as though it was coming from Deville Place. The sergeant said. Nonsense, replied the colonel. No one lives there for years. Don't be too sure, sir. The captain said. He had his head out of the barn door looking into the distance. I see smoke coming from the chimney over there. That's very strange. I think we best check up on this over there, on things over there. The colonel said, I'll just warn Towser to stand by. He barked the message, then ordered the captain to stay on watch in the barn and set off with the sergeant for Quella's manor. On reaching the manor, the sergeant climbed a tree and used a hanging branch to get over the high wall. The colonel stayed outside, of course, because the dogs are not very good at climbing trees. Once over the wall, Tibbs got to a window and looked in. All he could see was an empty room, but he partly opened the door and the room had a crack of light coming from it. Using every ounce of his strength, the cat managed to open the window, get into the empty room, and get through the partly open door and into another room. He looked around the room and said, there can't be this many. Wow, where'd all these spotted puppies come from? One of them, he said, are you one of the 15 stolen puppies? The boy puppy replied, oh no, we're not stolen. We're bought and paid for. There are 9 of us, counting everybody. A girl puppy said, how about that bunch of very little ones? They have names and collars. They're not from the pet shops like us. 15 of them, asked the cat. Never counted them. The girl puppy said, they're way over at the other end of the room near the TV set. I counted them. Then said the cat, watch out for the bad man. The girl puppy said, they're on the sofa watching TV. Yeah, the names are Horace and Jasper. The boy puppy added, and they real meanies. Watch out for them. What happened next is a little confusing. Tibbs was able to count the 15 stolen puppies and decide somehow get them out of the manor and back to his own barn. As usual, Horace and Jasper stumbled and bumbled enough, tripping over their own feet and furniture that he managed to escape, met up with the colonel, and got all 99 puppies back to the barn. While all this was going on, I got word that the great dance had news for us, and we'd met him at his place. I alerted Purita, and we got out our house through the upstairs window. When we met the great Dane, he told us what happened and then said what we didn't want to hear, finishing with your puppies are at the old DeVille place. Pongo, cried Purita. It was her, Cruella. She took our puppies, but why? I asked. I can't figure out why. No time for wondering, Purita said. Let's get going. Back at old DeVille place, Cruella arrived to find no puppies and Horace and Jasper watching their favorite TV show. What's my crime? She was furious and began ranting and screaming. You fools, she screamed. You stupid idiots, find them, she added in a low, deadly voice. I want all 99 of them killed. You will kill them. And they then remove their skins. They will make me magnificent set of fur coats. And as for finding them, you dummies, the ground outside is covered with snow. You can track them perfectly by their footprints in the snow. Horace and Jasper began searching the house as Sergeant Tibbs was frantically trying to get the puppies out of the manor and into the barn. We got the barn in just a few minutes. After the sergeant, the colonel, and the puppies, you can imagine their surprise when we learned there were no 99 puppies instead of just 15. What do you do with all of them? Asked Colonel Prada, and I exchanged looks. Then I said, we're going to take them all back with us, everyone, and we'll keep them. Our pets would never turn them away. They must be saved from Cruella, even though we don't know why she wants them. Just then, one of our puppies, it was either Rollo or Freckles, piped up, and Daddy, I think I know why. How do you know? As I heard her in the telephone telling someone to get ready to make some coats for her. She was going to have Horace and Jasper kill all of us in the skin for us to set our fur coats. And at that point, the captain called. Lights coming up the road. Tibbs added, it's a truck coming this way. I bet it's Horace and Jasper. They must have followed our tracks in the snow. We have to make a run for it, Priya said. Out the back way and across the pasture, Tibbs said. We'll try to stall him here as long as we can. Out the back way we went. 101 dalmatians plowing through the snow, with the puppies doing the best they could. Once in a while, one would get stuck, and I have to pull him or her out. But we were doing pretty well until we came to a snow-covered crossroads. We discovered Jasper and Horace close behind us, and what looked like a car lights coming from the other direction. Horace Jasper pulled up. Cruella screamed through the window of her big car and howled for them to keep searching. Horace and Jasper continued chasing us all over the hill, and Dale felt helpless. Perhaps Rita and I would have had a chance, but not 99 small puppies in a deep snow. All of a sudden, we heard a horn blaring, and Cruella zoomed by, searching for Horace and Jasper, searching for us. We have had a near escape once, but luckily we had gotten covered with soot, so Horace and Jasper never even recognized us. We were safely in a moving van taking us to our pets' home when Cruella pulled up and saw us without suit in the truck. It was a mad chase then, but our driver was so clever. He avoided both Corella's car and harassing Jasper, but they had a particular conclusion. So with the help of all our friends and that very nice moving van driver who brought us all to London, we got home early in the morning. Roger, Anita, and Nanny were very happy to see us and agreed to keep all 99 of the puppies, but not in this house. Nanny said, not 99 puppies. We will move to a farm in the country, Roger said. How can we afford it? Anita asked. I had meant to tell you so soon, he replied, but I have sold 4 new songs for a lot of money. Marvelous, Anita said. What are the songs about? Roger smiled and said, Cruella de Vil, Cruella de Vil. Just look at her will give you the chill.